with you know what, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's I get to learn a lot about you.
I'm looking
Actually,
forward to it. This is
all
gonna be
of us do.
great.
Um, so first off, can you tell us, how you got into acting? What was there a particular moment in your life that kind of like pushed you over in that direction?
Sure. It's kind of a funny story. Um, so when I was a preteen, I guess, elementary, not elementary school, junior high school, I was so completely obsessed with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the child
Yeah,
actor. So I just thought, all actors know each other, all famous people know each other. So
yeah.
I'll just become a big famous actress and then we have to meet and then we'll fall in love and get married. And that's,
It's
that's
kind
how
of good
it
logic,
starts.
though. I mean, you think about it.
So, I mean, I was terribly shy as a
Yeah,
kid. I'm still pretty shy. I've just found ways of like
yeah.
working through it. So, when I was in middle school, there was an opportunity to try out for the school play, and I was like, well, I better start doing it if I'm gonna do it. So I auditioned for the play, and because I was so shy, it was Bye Bye Birdie, which is, like kind of like the Elvis type of story. And Albert, who's kind of like the manager guy, he in one scene goes into a bar and there's like this girl that's really like shy and quiet and he does this whole dance number, but she'll never smile. She doesn't break a smile. She doesn't. And so that's the part that I got because I was so like shy and quiet. They're like, you're perfect for that. We'll just
Yeah.
sit here and your job is not to laugh. I'm like, all right, I can do that. So I just continued doing plays,
Yeah.
throughout middle school, high school, and then as I started doing it more and more specifically in high school, I really started to enjoy it. And then I auditioned for my first film just out of high school. It was a short film. And I booked that, and that was great. And so then I went to Emerson College and I studied acting.
Okay.
So I have a degree in theater from Emerson. And I went there because that was one of the only colleges that actually had an acting for the camera program, which is
Hmm.
really where my focus was. I wanted to do that as opposed to stage. Um, and so, yeah, I started because I loved JTT, but that
Yeah.
for JTT has been replaced by a love for acting.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet him?
No, he doesn't act anymore. That's the thing. Like, I saw some article, I don't know, like last year or something, like where are you now? And it was
Yeah.
just he's very low profile. Like he quit acting. I think he went to Harvard or something, and
Oh,
like is a very normal, like put together person, left the entire entertainment business behind. That'd be crazy though if I got to meet him.
yeah. Especially since that's really how this whole thing started.
Yeah, exactly. I
That's a
did
good.
get to meet Devon Sawa, who is also a crush from that time. Not
Okay.
he's JTT, but
Yeah, but yeah, kind of in the same realm.
exactly.
That is awesome. Um, and so you've worked, on both independent films, some mainstream. How would you compare those two environments? I mean, do you have a preference over one or the other? Or is your love really for independent film?
I think it's hard to say. I think I I really appreciate independent films because there is that strong community, really, that happens
Yeah,
like when you're on set. Like everyone's there because they want to be there. No one's making a lot of money. You
yeah,
know, you're there because you want to be part of the project, because you like the people you're working with, or you like the story, because you want to do it. And I think those sets are a lot of fun, and I really like that aspect of it. I do like also the, bigger paychecks on the mainstream
yeah. Then
film.
there's that.
So
Yeah.
but if I could get those bigger paychecks on the indie film, that's the goal. That's
That'd
the
be a
perfect place to
double win.
be.
Yeah.
So
Um, no, I mean that does make a lot of sense, and it's kind of hard finding that medium, your love,
yeah.
for that environment, and then people obviously need to get paid. So that's how you
Yeah.
make your living, have bills to pay. So no, I
It's
mean it
it's a
totally
tough
makes sense.
industry for
Yeah,
everyone, for everyone in it. So yeah.
yeah. And you are considered you are a working actress. This is your main job, correct? Or do you
I mean,
have?
I do like side hustles too,
Yeah,
just because like I like to travel. I like to, there's
Cool.
like
Yeah,
that I wouldn't be able to do with just what I do for
yeah,
acting. But yeah, I'm all
yeah,
in, full force.
yeah. So you don't have a nine to
You know?
five, like you don't go to the office or anything, and
Yeah,
then
no, I don't
okay,
go to an office or anything like that.
that's good. That's good. um, and then I did. You have a film coming out, a couple films coming out. I know Garden of Eden. I went to kind of like the premiere of that
Yeah.
last year, which you were awesome in. This brings me to my next question for you.
Okay.
That wasn't a very that was like in a really emotional character that you did play. How do you prepare for like roles that require such emotional depth and just kind of it was kind of like almost a physical transformation because it was just so emotional. Like it really just kind of like I don't know. It was I don't give too much away on the movies coming out, but it was an emotional character. We'll just leave it at that. Is there how do you prepare for something like that? Especially now you told me that you're actually a very shy person.
Yeah. So
Um,
it's taken me a while to really allow myself to be that vulnerable in front of people. Like that's
yeah,
difficult for me, and that's something that I'm continuing to try to work on. Because I think it's where an area that I need to grow in the most.
yeah,
But for stuff like that, so I have a lot of like method background in training, and so I pull out those tools out of my toolbox,
yeah, uh,
which is a lot of like, just actor stuff of just like relaxing and thinking of like specific memories and like what are the smells that you smelt during that memory, because that really smell
yeah,
also very much triggers like emotion, and like how did the things feel in your hands, and like all these sensory things that if you can actually like go through and like really using your imagination get yourself to remember those memories and really feel and be engulfed in that, your body will automatically react to what was happening at that time. So I did a lot of that, just focusing on some obviously sad moments in my life, the loss of
yeah,
my pets. And then I just did some journaling as if I was the character as well. So like I was, again, not giving too much away. I think it's fair to say I have a child that dies. That doesn't give too
yeah.
much away. So I was just, I would journal about her birthday. Like, what was her birthday like? What present did I get her? Just making her as real of a character to me as my cats, who are my children in real life, are
Yeah.
to me in real life. So when I'm doing these things and talking about her, like that grief is real because I've made that a real person.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot to unpack, especially
Yeah.
playing, but I get it using those, real life situations like the loss of a pet
Mhm.
would be a good one for me that I would use because
Yeah.
it's always difficult no matter what age you are. It never
It
gets easier.
always no, they are part of your family. They literally are your children. So like
Yeah, no,
yeah,
they
it's
are.
hard. And
Yeah,
it's especially working with like Joe and Marcel, like that whole team
yeah,
is really great, and they really created such a wonderful safe space where I was able to take the time to like relax and be vulnerable and, feel comfortable there. So I mean, it's really hard to do that stuff if you're under pressure, and there's like a strict schedule,
yeah.
and every set has a strict schedule, but like where it's like, all right, you get 2 takes of this and go
You're
now.
done. Yeah, yeah.
But
Being rushed is never fun, especially like
no.
that. So that's good. They let you take your time in a
Yeah.
sense.
So
So
they
you get
really
that.
scheduled the days very well in order to
That's
try to
good.
give me as much space to get myself ready. So like my scene wasn't shot until a little later in the day. Like my big scene wasn't shot until a little later. So was still able to come in, be on set, get prepared, do hair and makeup. And so like I had that time to prepare, which was really, really nice of them to do. They're a wonderful team to work with.
And you worked with Marcel before on Pretty Boy. Was there another?
Yeah.
Was that the only? But I can't talk today. Was that the only two, or was there more than just those two? You
Yeah, Pretty Boy and Garden of Eden. I think
okay?
that's the only two. Pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Um, And is there anybody out there you'd love to collaborate with or work with in the future?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
Um, so there's so many, like there's so many like really good like both indie filmmakers and like big like star filmmakers. I mean, I love Mike Flanagan, like everything
Yeah.
he does is just
Yeah. He has
phenomenal.
that magic touch. It's just,
Yeah,
hmm
like
yeah.
I would love to work on like a Flanagan, project or a David Fincher or
Yeah.
like that would be like, absolutely incredible. More on the indie side, like Josh Rubin, I would like absolutely love to, work on something that he's doing. He has a new movie coming out that I'm super excited to see. So like there's just so much talent out there,
Yeah. There's a
So
lot. There is.
yeah.
Um, there's a lot of great stuff coming out. And speaking of great stuff coming out, you're going to be in Popeye the Slayer Man, which is
I
slated
am.
for this release this year. And I mean, like, when the news broke about that film, people were messaging me, Ryan, did you hear about this movie? I'm like, well, of course I have. It looks so, because I'm like, of course, duh. But these are people that don't necessarily like love film like I do, and they were still like, this movie looks, the trailers looks gnarly, like they're just going nuts over it. And I think it's because you have like, I think Winnie the Pooh kind of
Mhm.
jump started this, and then you had the some of the Mickey Mouse stuff, and you've seen just different films on these beloved characters from all of our childhoods. I know Popeye goes generations back. How
Yeah.
did you get attached to the film?
So this one was actually just pretty lucky, pretty convenient. I was offered a role.
Yeah,
So, I've been friends with the producers and the director for in some cases like 15 years now, like known each other for a long time. And I was texting with Cuyle, who's one of the producers, because I was planning a trip to Salem, and he goes to Salem often and really likes the area.
yeah.
So I was asking if he had any like tips of stuff, and we were just chatting like on text. And he said that he was going to be doing another movie in upstate New York. And I was like, oh, how coincidental. I'm actually going to be in New England on a different film, like roughly around that same time. He's like, oh, really? Let me talk to Jeff and Robert and see if we could put you in for any of the available roles since you're going to be in the area anyway.
Yeah.
you know, only makes
So
sense. And yeah, and they were both like, yeah, let's cast her. That's a great idea. So yeah, that was it. I did the first film, and then I visited with my parents for a week in New Hampshire, and then I just drove to upstate New York and
oh,
did Popeye.
so it worked out.
Yeah, it was really convenient. All the dates worked, like they're because sometimes
Yeah.
there's always
The
scheduling.
conflict, yeah,
Yep.
overlapping, all that good
So
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, this was a really lucky case where everything was just very smooth.
And is there, I know it's kind of, is there anything you can talk about the film? Is there, I know it's kind of, because it hasn't been released yet. Is it going to be, are fans going to adore it just like they did the trailer, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it very much understands what it is.
Okay. It's
Know,
always
like
good.
it's not taking itself too seriously. Like this is just
Yeah.
a fun, goofy slasher.
Yeah.
Like it's I am what I am. Like it's very
Uh,
like tongue in cheek and it plays into it. And I think that's gonna do really well for it because that's what the audience wants. That's what they expect. Like even any of the so like CBS Mornings was talking about, Popeye the Slayer Man. Whenever they talk about it, they're always Popeye the Slayer Man, and then they like kind of roll their eyes and like start laughing. But like they're laughing about it. Like
yeah.
that's the entire point of this movie is just to have fun and to make people laugh. So and have a lot of that really good practical gore and effects and like really feed into that horror audience and that stuff that we really love and enjoy. Like the makeup effects and like gore where you're like, oh my God, and you're like
Uh,
laughing about it. So it's not like a brutal, I mean, it is brutal, but it's not like torture porn kind of brutal. It's
yeah.
tongue in cheek, have fun with it kind of brutal.
Yeah. Not, like you said, not too serious. Because when they start doing that, it's kind of like, and I think that's when they kind of go south, when they start
Exactly.
taking themselves too seriously. So
Yeah.
that's good. Do you know it'll be released later this year, or is if it's the first part of the year that they said?
I know that, well, I know they're aiming for the first quarter of the year.
Okay.
For sure. So I know they're talking to distributors and feeling they have a bunch of different offers. So they're just trying to figure out what's going to be the best at this point.
Perfect. And I guess it's something to look forward to for sure.
I know. I'm
And
excited.
then I can't not talk about the Black Mass.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, so Black Mass has actually been out for a little bit now. It's
Yeah,
been, God, it's been everywhere. It's been on, I think,
I
Tubi.
know.
It's been on, might have been on Stars. I mean, it was on, I know, VOD. You can, purchase it. It's on physical media. So it's been really traveling around. A lot of good, I've heard a lot of good things about it. What was your experience like on the Black Mass? Did you have any? It had to have been hard too. Another emotional, another emotional role for you.
Yeah. This one, at least, so I think the most emotional part about this one was more in the preparation because I am playing a real person
Yeah,
who was a victim of Ted Bundy, and she thankfully survived. But it still was a very brutal attack,
yeah,
that she went through. So that was just personally very emotional for me when I was doing my research about her and just learning about her life and like everything that she lost. Like she was going to school and she wanted to be a dancer, and then because of the attack she lost hearing in one of her ears, and it kind of threw off of her balance, so she couldn't dance anymore. And she ended up because of her hearing loss going to school, and is now working with a lot of deaf children, like doing like sign language, and like helping a lot of kids, which is, what a phenomenal way to take this terrible thing and do
yeah,
something positive with it. But when it came to the actual like shooting day and the filming experiences that I had on that set, I didn't have to be as emotional because it was all a surprise, that was happening. So like my character is just going about her regular life like all these
yeah,
women were who were attacked, and then you get attacked and you get bludgeoned and beaten and all that sort of stuff. And all any of that like physical violence that's on screen is always so done so choppily
yeah,
for
yeah,
the effects. So like you'll shoot a little bit, then you take 30 to 40 minutes to get more effects done, and then you shoot a
yeah,
little few more. And so
yeah,
because of that, it wasn't as emotionally difficult on me in that moment. It was more the coordination of like the making sure you're moving at the right time with the hits and that the blood is in the right place and like all of that like technical stuff. you know
yeah, yeah. You might have lunch in between all that too. So it
exactly.
kind of breaks it up. No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, because I know like one thing is I'm sure that maybe a lot of the actors, actresses, I know if I was an actor in that film, I'd be really just aiming to get it right. And I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to disappoint the family. You know what I mean? Like I would make sure I wanted to get it
absolutely.
right. Did that happen? Were
Oh, yeah,
people
for sure. And I think
self-conscientious on, the performances more so?
everyone was
Yeah.
so respectful of the material and really wanting to do it justice. And
Yeah.
I think it's a hard thing because like without seeing the movie, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, you're just, this is a cash grab. You're just like throwing this horrible thing that happened to these people, and you're using it to glorify it to make money." But I feel like that's not in this case, that's not what Devaney wanted to do with this
Yeah.
story. Like her entire messaging behind it was that it's time to start putting our focus on the victims rather than
Yeah.
the serial killer. So in throughout the film, everything is over his shoulder. You never see his face. You might catch like a profile or, something like that. So it's specifically meant to show how devastating it is on the victims when something like this happens, and that's what the media should be paying more attention to.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like you said, I think she got it right because I mean everything else is like you said, it glorifies the killer. A lot of
yeah,
stuff on Netflix right now, and it's just all about the killer, the face.
yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I really appreciated that she was putting that messaging so
yeah,
powerfully like into that story. And she even so the film played at a lot of festivals, but
yeah.
played in Florida, which is where the attacks happened. And in the audience was actually a woman that went to the college when that happened, and really like grilled her about it afterwards. And through that conversation afterwards, she was like, okay, no, I get it. I get why you wanted to make this movie. Kind of, you almost like have my seal of approval, if you will,
Yeah.
to go ahead and do this. So, but I don't know
Yeah.
if any of the survivors have seen it though. I would be very curious, what
Yeah.
their thoughts were. But
Their thoughts on it, the friends, the family, just
yeah,
anybody that might have a insight on what happened.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be curious.
Yeah, nice. I would too. And that, I mean, because I'm sure with all the other specials that are on that, like I said, Netflix and everything, I know that I've heard just them just hate it, absolutely just hate it.
Yeah,
So I was just curious how they would respond to this type of film.
right. Yeah,
So
it's hard. It's also hard just to be, I feel like, to have that one thing that happened to you almost define your life, like
yeah,
forever. I
forever.
feel
Yeah.
like that's a really difficult place to be in. So I understand any of those people, and that's also why in the film all the names of the characters are changed, because she just didn't. Some people like don't want to be associated, want to be left
Mm.
alone. So that's another way that she was trying to be very respectful to the people that were the victims.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, like you said, it's just lingering forever with
Yeah.
some of these folks. So
Yep.
um and then I see the ugly Christmas sweater. Tell me about that one.
That was a Lifetime movie.
So what is so Lifetime, so it wasn't like really horror then, right? It wasn't like
No, it was
okay.
not horror. It was I don't even know what you kind of call that. Not like just like lighthearted drama,
Yeah.
like it wasn't really like comedy. It had comedy elements to it because of the ugly Christmas sweater. But it takes place in an office, and it's this girl, and her grandma always makes these like crazy like ugly Christmas sweaters, and she kind of gets made fun of, and like that typical like
Yeah.
Lifetime. Yeah, again, super super light, not getting very serious, or not really getting into any deep messaging or anything like that.
Yeah. No, it sounds like fun. Ugly Christmas sweater. I mean, it could, I mean, the title could be horror, it could be comedy, could be a little bit of
Yeah,
both.
it,
Uh
it could be actually. Yeah,
yeah.
like your like Christmas horror movie that you did. That's
Yeah. Grandma's cookies, you no idea
yeah,
what that could be
it
anything.
could be.
Yeah. Could be animated special.
Yeah, could be.
um you've done kind of a little bit of everything. What is there a particular genre that you love more than the other? I mean, because I know horror for some you just kind of get pushed in that direction, not
Hmm.
necessarily want to. That's just the direction. Is there anything you like doing more than the other?
I mean, I like doing the emotional stuff kind of regardless of genre. I like the stuff that's ha, really has a heart to it, and really allows you as an actor to do all those actory things, and use all the tools, and
Yeah.
get yourself to do that and to make people think. I really really love like medieval fantasy. That's
Okay.
my jam. And period pieces like westerns and that sort of stuff. So that's I've not done much of that. I would love to do more of it because I really enjoy that. I'm Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, like I have Valar Morghulis tattooed in my ribs. Like I'm I'm all in with all the fantasy stuff. So like but
That's
that's
awesome.
so expensive, to do. So
Yeah.
there's not I did an indie film that is a medieval fantasy horror film. Um,
Okay.
so I did actually get to do that, and I did a lot of like sword fighting. So I'm a sword fighting princess in that one, and I did training for probably about 6 weeks, just to get all the technique down for that. And when I have my final battle in the film, I'm wearing a suit of armor, and so like the armor's fitted for me, and they let me keep it afterwards. So now I have my own suit of armor, like
That's cool.
in the
Yeah.
closet, which I love. So like that stuff totally gets me geeked. That's yeah, I would love to do more of that. But I really do like horror as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't set out to do horror. It's like you said, one of those things where you kind of get pushed into it because
Yeah.
it's a
It
really
finds
lonely
you.
genre. It finds you. It does.
Yeah.
And like once you start doing it, you meet all these people and it really is a community. And then it just starts snowballing. And so somebody is like, oh, you did that film. I saw that film. You were great. Can I put you in my other film? I was like, and so yeah, and it just goes and goes and goes. But I really like working with a lot of people in the horror community.
Yeah.
I think they're really great. We all geek about the same, things. We all have a really
Mhm.
good time on set. So I do enjoy working in horror too.
Do you have any comfort films that you revisit every year?
We have like holiday themed,
Yeah.
watching every year. So, we'll definitely for Christmas, we do, let's see, we do Krampus,
Yeah.
P2, Black
It's
Christmas, which P2 is great.
I was
Like
just gonna say that's a great freaking
it's a
movie.
really
And
great movie.
I need to actually I'm gonna watch that because I forgot this
Yeah.
last year to watch it. It's a good
No,
one.
we watch it every year, and that's
Yeah.
like that movie is a freight train. Like it just
And
goes,
it just came
you know?
unexpectedly. I'm like, where the hell did this movie come from? It's
Yeah.
just there. I remember. Yeah.
And like I don't remember ever hearing about it or like
Nope.
hype about it. It's just like one of those things you find it and you're like, this is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
um but then for Halloween, we obviously watch Halloween.
Yeah.
We watch Trick or Treat, Dougherty's, not the 1980s metal one.
Yeah. The other one.
But also fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what else do we watch for Halloween? We usually watch The Crow the night before Halloween because Devil's
It's a
Night.
good one. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite movie of all time. I love that movie.
I remember seeing that in the theater. I think
Oh
it was when was
wow.
that? 90 was it 92?
90, I think you're right. I think it was 92. Yeah. Yep.
I know it's crazy how you like I remember seeing that movie in the theater. My grandmother took me, and I remember in the other theater next to it, Night of the Demons 2 was playing. If my memory is that good.
That's
I was like,
amazing.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
That
great film.
that's like my husband. He's like, why do I remember all this useless shit? Like, why
Right? Yeah.
is it all in
Can't,
my head?
yeah, I can't remember how to do this, but I can definitely
But
remember what I saw back in 1992.
yeah, I remember Night of the Demons too. Like that
Yeah,
was
that is nuts. Um, and do you have anything in the pipeline right now that you're currently filming, or besides Garden of Eden and Popeye the Slayer Man that's coming out?
So those two are coming out. I have another movie I did called The Long Game that's coming out. That's more of like a neo-noir thriller. It's not really a horror film. But that stars Kathleen Turner and
Oh,
Jasmine
okay.
Haley. And it's a first-time director, Jace Anderson, who she's wonderful. She's been writing things for a really long time. She wrote the remake of Night of the Demons, the one
Oh,
with
really? Okay.
so like she was the writer, her and her husband were co-writers of that. So that movie is also coming out. I think that's gonna get a little bit of a theatrical release. I don't know exactly when, but I think first quarter again, first quarter this year. So I have a small part in that, but that's pretty cool as well. And other than that, it's like it's so hard like with this industry because I don't like talking about things until like they're happening.
Yeah.
They fall through so often.
Yeah.
So like there's a couple projects that like I'm attached to that like when they happen, which some of them are expected to happen this year, like yeah, then we'll be doing it. But you never know. Even when you have like a hey, yeah, we're gonna be doing it in September. Heard that so many times. So
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt. It could be a few years, and then
exactly. Exactly. So it's tough until I have like an actual like start date, like block off these dates.
yeah, they're
I don't,
actually there.
yeah, button up about everything because I don't want to jinx anything and all that,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
No, I totally get it. Um, do you have it's kind of like a generic question, but kind of change it up a little bit. Has anybody ever given you a piece of advice that you received from someone in the industry, or is there any advice you would give somebody?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was first starting in New England, so I was working a lot with this filmmaker, Richard Griffin, who's like a regional filmmaker, and he was, really prolific, did a lot of like straight to DVD movies that were really fun.
Mm,
That's like where I got my start. And that's why I first got known in horror, because he was doing horror and all of his stuff was distributed, and like people would watch it and they're like, oh, you're the chick from the Richard Griffin movies. But in working with him, I worked with this actor, William Dukoff, who is actually who referred me to Richard, because Richard didn't usually do auditions. He just would hire people like based on who he knew. And so William gave me a really good piece of advice when I was first starting out, which was build up your resume as fast as you can. And
mhm.
I've kind of kept that mentality of just like, yeah, keep going, keep like hustling, always continue to get work, and don't be, I mean, you want to be careful about quality for like a bit, but you also don't want to be like only doing the things that you think are going to be the most amazing projects, because then you're never going to work. And you know, like
Mhm.
you gotta do things that are, maybe you're not super thrilled about them, but there's a good scene for you in them, or you're working with like a cool person. And that's the thing, is like work begets work, especially in this industry. The more you work, the more people you meet, the more people are going to refer you to other things, and then you grow a reputation. And that is what is going to get your career started, especially at the beginning, to just do everything, like just do it all. So
No, that does make sense, because then the networking is just because everybody knows everybody, like you said,
yeah.
and it's a tight knit community. So
Yep. With
no,
that,
that
I will say also, don't be afraid to say no too, because you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're doing something you're not comfortable with, or like
yeah,
absolutely also advocate for yourself, like in every situation. 100%.
nope, that's great advice. Very good advice. But this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much
Thank
again. We're
you.
looking
Yeah.
forward to these films coming out, hopefully Q1 this year.
I hope so. I hope so. It seems like it. So there's going to be
Yeah,
a couple of good options.
that's good. Yes, fingers crossed. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you
I
again
love it.
so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. This was fun.